Hello. Now I'm going to teach you about the Shatavahana dynasty. Shatavahanas were the first rulers to establish a kingdom and an empire in Dakshinapatha, that is, the southern part of India. You might be knowing already that these Shatavahanas were once the feudatories of the Mauryas, but later, of the decline of the Mauryan Empire, these Shatavahanas consolidated their rule in Dakshinapatha and expanded their kingdom to include almost all the parts of Dakshinapatha, thus building a large empire. But did these Shatavahanas rise to power all of a sudden? Or are there any factors that helped him in building such a large empire? So, for knowing all these facts, let us concentrate or let us focus on the pre-Shatavahana period. So, while discussing the pre-Shatavahana period, the first thing we have to concentrate is the term Andhras. For this, let us have an outline map of the current India. Shatavahanas established their role in the middle of the Dakshinapatha. From there, they expanded their rule to all over Dakshinapatha. So, before discussing about this thing, so let us know the origins of the term known as Andhras. The region inhabited by them was known as Andhra Desha. Andhra Desha. So here, if we see the references to this term known as Andhras, we find a lot of texts in the ancient India. The one of the most important of those references is the set of the books in Buddhism known as Buddhist Jataka tales. So, what are these Buddhist Jataka tales? Actually, these Jatakas means tales or stories regarding the past lives of Buddhas or previous births of the Buddha. So, generally, if we observe any religion which was born in India, the concept of life and karma is same. Any major religion which was born in India. So in Buddhism also, people used to believe in a life after the current life and a life after a life before the current life. So these dharmas or the religions which were born in India, they used to state that the karma, the duties or the actions which we had done in the past life, they show effect on the current life, isn't it? So here also, since Buddha was treated or venerated as a god in Buddhism, the Jataka tales are all about the past life deeds of the Gautam Buddha, or the shape or the animal incarnation or the human incarnation, whatever it is, the incarnations which were taken by Gautam Buddha in his previous lives. So these Buddhist Jataka tales, which were written between 600 BC to these Buddhist Jataka tales, which were written between 600 to 400 BC, they have references to the term known as Andhras. Okay, but this is not the first one. If we go further deeper or further into the ancient past, we observe one reference in Aitareya Brahmana. What are Brahmanas? You might be knowing that the four Vedas had some additional text with them or the supplementary texts with them. They were known as Brahmanas, isn't it? So here we can say that each Veda has some more Brahmanas. So this Aitareya Brahmana was a Brahmana of the Rig Veda. So this Aitareya Brahmana was written almost in 1000 BC. So in Aitareya Brahmana, we had a story. So what is the story? You might have heard about the famous or popular sage called Vishwamitra. So in Aitareya Brahmana, the story says that sage Vishwamitra cursed his 50 sons to go from Uttarapatha to Dakshinapatha and live with certain tribes known as Andhras, Pulindras, Mutibas, and Shabaras, etc. So here we have the same word as Andhras. So in those times, Andhras were considered as the residents of this Dakshinapada. So he ordered his sons to go to the Dakshinapada and live there with certain tribes. So if we look at the physiography of India, we have Vindhya range here, and after Vindhya mountain range, parallelly we find the river Narmada, and after that we have the Satpura mountain range, and after it we find the Tapati river. So in those times, for a man to cross from this mountain ranges and rivers into Dakshinapatha was a very critical task. So here, if you see that in Aitareya Brahmana, sage Vishwamitra had ordered his 50 sons to go into Dakshinapatha and live with these tribes. So, and the area which was present in present day Nizamabad district, Adilabad, Karimnagar, and the Bastar district of current day Chhattisgarh, all this area was known as Dandakaranya. Okay, so this Dandakaranya was a very thick forest. So nowadays we can assume that this Dandakaranya is present in these districts and as well as the Bastar district of Chhattisgarh. But in those days, we can estimate that this forest was much bigger than today. So, if you see here, when coming to Dakshinapatha, so before the Mauryas, many people like adventurers or the merchants, etc., they used to cross the Vindhya mountains in the Mauryas times itself. But our story ran back into the Aitareya Brahmana. So, if we come to know the fact that the Mauryas who established their empire as the Magadha kingdom here, how they controlled the Shatavahana as their feudators. So there must be some reasons along with the political ones, such as the cultural reasons or the religious reasons, etc. Because for an empire which was established in northern India, it is much difficult to control the affairs in the southern India, isn't it? So if you look at these backgrounds, first we have to see that means the Mauryas used to follow the culture, and the Shatavahanas were also used to follow the Vedic culture, Vedic rites like Yagna Yagas, etc. So, we have already seen that the Vedic culture was present in the Uttarapada. But when did this Vedic culture enter southern India? For that, we have reference in Mahabharata and other Puranas. So, what are these references? Those references are regarding the sage Agastya, isn't it? Who is Agastya? Agastya was the one, particularly in Mahabharata, there was a statement regarding Agastya that he was the man who brought this Vedic culture from Uttarapada to Dakshinapada. And in the same thing, it was mentioned that he overcome the arrogance of the Vindhya. So, we see that in Indian culture, we usually personify the physical things. The one example is the river Ganga was named as Ganga Mata. Like that, this Vindhya ranges was also personified as Vindhya. So, he is stating that says Agastya overcome the arrogance of Vindhya means he's personifying this and crossing those Vindhya ranges and next coming the Satpura ranges etc. was a very difficult task in those times. So, like that, the Vedic culture entered from Uttarapada to Dakshinapada before the establishment of any Shatavahana or Mahajanapada. We can say it clearly. So, the next reference we have to see here is regarding Anguttara Nikaya. What is this Anguttara Nikaya? This Anguttara Nikaya is popular for its list of 16 Mahajanapadas. This Anguttara Nikaya is a Buddhist text. That is the text which belongs to the Buddhist religion. So this Anguttara Nikaya mentioned that there were 16 Mahajanapadas in India and only one Mahajanapada was present in Dakshinapada. And this was known as Asmaka. So this Asmaka Mahajanapada had a capital city known as Podan, otherwise we can call it as Bahudhanyapura. So nowadays, this Podan or Bahudhanyapura is being called as the Bodhan town in Nizamabad district, isn't it? So Asmaka Janapada used to include the erstwhile Nizamabad, Adilabad, and Karimnagar districts on the bank of river Godavari. So what does this Bahudhanyapura means? Bahu means several. Dhanya means the food grains or the cereals. Pura means the city. So the city used to have a large reserve of food grains. So thus it has got a name known as Bahudhanyapura. Later it was called Bodhan, and the same Bahudhanyapura has become Bodhan. So if we go to another reference, so we have seen here that out of the Shodasha Mahajanapadas, that means out of 16 Mahajanapadas, only the Asmaka Mahajanapada was presenting the Dakshinapada or southern India. So when we go to the next reference now, the Suttanipada. Suttanipada was a part of Suttapitaka. What is this Suttapitaka? You might have heard about the term known as Tripitakas in Buddhism, isn't it? Tripitakas were the most sacred textbooks of the Buddhism. So in this Tripitakas, one is Vinaya Pitaka, and the another one is Abhidhamma Pitaka, and the next one is Sutta Pitaka. So this Suttanipada was a part of Sutta Pitaka. So what does this Suttanipada states? Suttanipada states that in Dakshinapada there were two political territories known as, one is Alaka and the next one is Mulaka. So what are this Alaka and Mulaka? Alaka is nothing but it is same as the Asmaka Mahajanapada, and the Mulaka used to comprise present day Nanded and the surrounding areas. So Suttanipada states that these Alaka and Mulaka both of them were situated on the northern and southern banks of river Godavari, and the capital city of this Alaka was Podan, and the capital city of this Mulaka was Pratishtanapura. Nowadays, this Pratishtanapura is known as Paitan. So the same Suttanipada states that these Alaka and Mulaka, both of these states were known as Andhakaratas. Andhaka Rattas. What is Andhaka? Andhaka is a root word for Andhra, and Ratta is a root word for Rashtra, which means a kingdom or territory. So Suttanipada states that this Alaka and Mulaka, these were two Andhakarattas situated on the northern and southern banks of river Godavari, and this Alaka or Asmaka had its capital city as Bahudhanyapura or Podan, and Mulaka has its capital city as Pratishtanapura or Paitan. The next coming reference we have to see is Indica, which is a foreign reference written by a foreigner known as Megasthenes. So who was this Megasthenes? You must have heard about Alexander. So who was Alexander? Alexander came all the way from Macedonia to control all the world, or to rule over the world. So, well, entering his way into India, some people say that he had defeated Puru or Purushottama, and some nationalists say that Purushottama defeated Alexander. That's why Alexander went back to Macedonia. While on his way to Macedonia, he died in Babylonia. But what happened here when he had taken his route back? He had appointed a person known as Seleucus Nicator as the governor of this northwestern region of India. So Seleucus Nicator was the governor of Alexander, who was appointed over the northwestern region of India. So this Seleucus Nicator, he wanted to befriend the Magadha rulers. What is the reason they Seleucus Nicator knew well that Magadha kingdom or Mahada Mahajanapada was a most powerful kingdom in those times. So Seleucus Nicator wanted to have some cordial relations with this Magadha kingdom or Mahajanapada. So what he had done, he has sent an ambassador known as Megasthenes to the court of Magadha. So Seleucus Nicator has sent an ambassador known as Megasthenes to the court of Magadha. So, but this Megasthenes didn't sit quiet. So what he had done, Megasthenes roamed all over India, from Uttarapada, Dakshinapada, Western, Eastern, all the sides. What he had done there, while visiting all the places on all the sides of India, Megasthenes had recorded the facts or the observation, whatever he had observed in his notes. So he had titled this book as Indica. Now you got my point? So Megasthenes had recorded all the facts of the societal elements that were present in those days, and he named that book as Indica. So this Indica states that there were 30 forts in the times of Magadha in this Dakshinapada. 30 forts, or we can say 30 fortified towns. So what we can observe here by the mentioning of 30 fortified towns, so it indirectly means that these 30 fortified towns were the power centers of different dynasties or the ruling families. So the Pliny was also a historian. He had written a book known as Natural History. So in natural history also, he had also mentioned that several forts were present in India. Particularly, Megasthenes has mentioned that there were 30 fortified towns in Dakshinapada. He had also mentioned about the forts. So next, coming to the Ashoka, we already know that Ashoka was the greatest emperor of the Mauryan dynasty. So what he had done, Ashoka almost occupied from Kandahar to the borders of the northern Tamil Nadu. Ashoka's empire was a very vast and extensive one. He had controlled almost all of the present day India. So he had erected some pillar edicts and rock edicts all over the areas which he had occupied. And one of them is the 13th rock edict, which was erected in the Dakshinapada. So what does this 13th rock edict states? It states that Ashoka had said that on the southern side of his empire, there were people who used to live, and these were known as Andhras. So Ashoka also stated that there were some communities, some friends were living on the southern sides of his empire, and one of them is Andhras. So after the Ashokan rock edict, the another important one is Malavika Agnimitra. So, who wrote Malavika Agnimitra? It's one of the most important questions which is asked in UPSC Civil Services examinations, Group 1, Group 2, as well as the SSC, CGL, RRB, or any other CDS, etc. So, any important examination, so what was the text, who wrote this Malavika Agnimitra was an important question. The answer is Kalidasa. So, Kalidasa has written this Malavika Agnimitra, but Malavika Agnimitra is a love story. You may get a doubt that how can a book of love story is useful for the understanding of political history of India. Yes, you're right. Malavika Agnimitra was a love story. It was a love story of Malavika and Agnimitra written by Kalidasa. But the fact is that along with the love story, we can find a political historical narrative in this Malavika Agnimitra that is regarding the Mauryas and the Shungas. What are these two dynasties? Mauryas was the dynasty which ruled from this Magadha kingdom, and it was built into the Mauryan empire. So during the decline of the Mauryan empire, the next dynasty which followed it was Shunga dynasty, isn't it? So what he had done, while Shungas revolted against these Mauryan rulers, these Satavahanas, since they were having a lot of Swami Bhakti, that is the devotion towards their rulers, these Satavahanas supported Mauryas against Shungas. So Ultimately, Shunga succeeded the throne after the Mauryas, but Shungas wanted to take revenge on the Satavahanas because these Satavahanas had supported Mauryas instead of Shungas. So, all this context, all this narrative was mentioned in this Malavikagnamitra by Kalidasa, and from another inscription or the other inscriptions of the kinds which were published by the pre-Shatavahana rulers, we can say that there were many small, that means petty kingdoms in this Dakshinapada before the establishment of Shatavahanas. So these inscriptions and kinds which were issued by the pre-Shatavahana rulers testify to this fact. So next, let us follow to the establishment of the Shatavahana Empire.